We're committed now. All right, guys, so today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. So instead of working on dirt bikes, we're gonna work on a little project that I acquired probably close to, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. And I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it. So let's get after it and I'll show you what's going on. I got this thing basically non-running. Now that's not the factory ATC 70 motor. That's some sort of Chinese motor. Have no idea what motor it is, what brand. I don't know if it's a Lithium or what, but I do know it's a pit bike style motor, and I think he told me it's a 125 or a 140. That's how much I know about this stupid thing. So what I ended up doing is the carburetor, I had to cut down the intake in order to lower the carburetor to get it to fit underneath the tank. So I cut a chunk out of that, TIG welded it back up together, and got it running. But as you can see, the wiring on this thing is just absolutely kind of just a mess. So I need to take the tank off of it, take the seat off of it, go through, clean up the wiring, and then the air filter, the intake here, I absolutely hate that because straight's fine, but as soon as you turn, it hits the air filter, and that's just not gonna work. So I think it's what I'm actually gonna end up doing is chopping the frame and moving the front end out probably 2 inches to get it away from that filter. So anyways, let's get this thing tore apart and see what we can do. All right, so before you guys roast me in the comments for chopping up this 83, by the way, I think. Yeah, 1983, 70, don't judge too quick. It actually looks better than it really is. Got a Chinese motor, and this thing's been pretty abused. Every part of this thing needs some major work. Like the frame's actually broke in a couple spots, so I'm gonna have to repair that. And everything front to back on it needs something. So if this thing was in better condition, I would actually restore it, but it's got a Chinese motor in it. Don't have the original motor. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So don't judge too quick. This is actually a really good platform to make kind of a hot rod ATC 70 out of. So I'm gonna decide, do a little measuring here and see where the best place for me to chop this frame is, extend it out, give me a little more clearance with a carburetor, because I really don't want the carburetor sitting out the side underneath the tank. I'd rather it be forward, and that was pretty much the smallest filter I could find at the moment. So I think it'll just look better with a little bit longer wheelbase anyways, because that motor, I mean, it actually hits the front mud guard on the front fender, which I'm gonna have to buy a new one, and I don't really wanna melt the new one. So anyways, that's why I decided to chop this thing up. So I'm gonna do some research, make some measurements on the frame, and take a sawzall with this whole thing. Turns out, yeah, steering stem bearings, they're not a sealed unit. See that? Crap. Yeah, turns out I didn't realize, I should have known, but I didn't realize that the stem bearings aren't sealed. So, found as many as I could. I'm missing 4, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do there, but who knows? Maybe they'll start to turn up. As as I start cleaning the floor. I'm gonna go ahead, do some measuring on this thing and see where the best place to add. I think I'm gonna add 3 inches to this frame. So I think, yeah, this is kind of scary, but oh well, good thing it's metal. I've cut up worse things and had to fix it and weld it back together, so should be interesting. So looking a little closer at this frame, I'm trying to decide where I'm gonna cut this thing. Notice I thought this was almost a factory dent for some reason, but looking a little closer at it, I don't know why, but somebody decided to cave this frame in right here, and I can't figure out why. So since I'm adding material and I'm going to stretch this frame, I'm actually going to cut it right here and just add that much more extra material into this upper frame, so I can get my stretch out of it and get this dent out of it. Might be kind of tricky getting this piece out of it, because if you look down, it's actually widened the frame here. So there's another reason right there, really, why this frame is not worth restoring, or this 3-wheeler is not worth restoring. So okay, so I've got a plan. So I'm actually going to cut the damaged piece out of this frame, and in order to do that, I'm going to cut it back here just in front of this main cross member, or actually support bracket of the rear section of the neck. And I'm actually going to take and cut this gusset off of the front of the neck, and then cut through where the gas mount is and replace this entire section right here. And then I'll have to relocate the ignition box bracket, which is fine, I was going to do that anyways. But first thing first is I'm actually going to remove this stock gas tank mount, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So when I get the new neck in, I can just drill a hole through the new neck, install this back in, weld it up, and I won't have to build a new gas tank mount bracket.
Got it.
Now that I have that wide piece out, I can come in here and make a clean cut right here where I know the material is sound and it's good, and then do the same thing back here about the edge of that bracket, and then I'll replace that section and sleeve it down through here and sleeve it into here, rosette weld that sleeve back inside of there, and then all the way around the tube, and then I've got a fresh piece of tube that's nice and straight, goes back in the frame, and it'll actually give me my extra length to stretch in the frame. Then I can weld this factory piece back in, we'll be good to go.
We're committed now.
What's up there, DBF family? So today we're back on the ATC 70 frame stretch. Now it's been a while since I've worked on this thing, so I've got to gather up parts and try to figure out where I was when I left off, but shouldn't be too big a deal. So I'm gonna try to get the frame stretched on this thing today, at least tacked back together, and the front end sitting back on it, and see what happens from there. So let's get after it. So here's a new piece of tubing. Here's the new slugs that go inside of new piece of tubing, like that. So I've got to go ahead and get a bunch of plug holes drilled into this tubing so I can weld these in, and then we will install this into here, do the same plug weld, and the same thing on the neck of the front end.
Now what we'll do is insert this sleeve or this plug and rosette weld those in there into the tubing, into the plug, and then I'll do the same thing on the frame and rosette weld this piece into the frame and then come back around here and finish weld it to the frame. And then do the same thing here on the neck. So next step is to drill the holes in the frame and get it ready to accept that piece. Got to do is just do a little cleaning up here and there and put the gusset back in now they got the bottom welded up to give that neck some support, and then go ahead and drill the hole. And it's probably going to be about right here now for the tank mount. We'll be good to go. There's a factory piece for the brace in the neck, so now we just got to tack it into place and heck, we'll be done with this stretch. Alright, so I got the tank mount loosely sitting in there, got the tube cut out. I actually decided to come up from the factory location about a little over 3/4 of an inch in elevation. So I'm gonna get this thing trued up, tacked into place, get the tank slid on it, and burn it in for one last time.
So I kind of hope this gives you guys kind of a general idea on how I did this stretch on this frame. And I've got a lot more to come on this bike, three-wheeler, I guess, bike, trike, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna hop this thing up. This was kind of just messing around with this thing, but the more I work on it, the more excited I am about this little bugger. So I'm gonna get a whole slew of parts ordered up for this thing, and we're gonna hit it kind of hard. It's gonna come together pretty quick. But anyways, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.